equals 4y minus 6sm square. Solve for s. So we need to isolate s in this case. Now I'm just going to highlight it red so it's easy to see. So we have 6sm square altogether. So you always begin by getting rid of the quantity that is far away from the quantity that you're trying to solve for. So you're trying to solve for s, so we will isolate for y first. And look at the sign in between. There's a negative sign in between. If two things are being subtracted, you will either add or subtract to get rid of the quantity that you want to get rid of. So in this case, I want to get rid of 4y on right side. So subtract 4y from both sides. Then on left side, I have a minus 4y equals minus 6sm square. So minus 6ms square means minus 6 times s times m square. So three quantities are being multiplied. When you multiply something and you want to get rid of one of the quantities, you will do the opposite, which is divide to get rid of it. So I want to get rid of minus 6 and m square. So I divide both sides by minus 6 m square. So my answer is going to be s equals a minus 4y over minus 6m square. Okay. Next question, SF equals SI plus VM minus 2t. So in science, you will see subscripts. So in this case, we have F as a subscript, I as a subscript. So basically, in these kind of questions, subscript are describing the quantity. So F is describing S, I is describing the other S. So you do not need to isolate F and I. Wherever you move the S's, F and I will just stay with it. You don't need to do anything with it. Okay, so let's look at this example. So we are solving for SI in this case. I'm just going to make it red so it's easy to see. Okay, that means I want to get rid of VM plus and minus 2t on the right side. So there's a plus sign in between SI and VM. So that means two quantities are being added. So when you add two quantities and you want to get rid of one of them, you will either add or subtract depending upon the sign to get rid of it. So I want to get rid of VM on the right side. So I subtract VM from both sides. Then I have minus 2t. So the sign in between Vm and minus 2t is minus. So whenever a quantity is being subtracted, you are going to either add or subtract, that's just the opposite, to get rid of that quantity. So you will add 2t to both sides. So plus Vm and minus Vm, they're opposite signs. They will just cancel. Minus 2t and plus 2t, they're opposite signs. They will cancel as well. So on the left side, I have SF minus Vm plus 2t equals Si. So notice one thing, I have not isolated the small I, which is subscript I and subscript F, because they are just describing quantities. I do not need to isolate them. Let's look at our last example. g equals 4v plus 9mt square. So in this question, solve for t. Okay, and I'm just going to change the color to red right here. So I want t by itself and then square. Okay. So in this case, we have 9mt square all together. So the quantity that's far away from t, we need to get rid of that quantity first. So that means we need to get rid of 4v on the right side first. So between 4v and 9mt square, there's a plus sign. So whenever you're adding two things, you will do the opposite, which is plus or minus to get rid of that quantity, depending upon the sign you want to get rid of. So I have 4v, which is positive 4v. So I will subtract 4v from both sides, minus 4v from both sides to get rid of that quantity. Then I have g minus 4v equals 9mt square. So now I want to get rid of 9 and m, and I will get rid of square last because it's still more close to 9m. So 9mt square means 9 times m times t square. So all the quantities are being multiplied and I want to get rid of them. I will do the opposite, which is divide. So divide both sides by 9m to get rid of 9m on the right side. That leaves me with t square equals g minus 4v over 9m. I want to have t by itself, and I want to get rid of square, and the opposite of square is square root. So I take a square root of both sides. So the square root and square on the right side will cancel, and I will have t by itself. So t is equal to square root g minus 4v over 9m.